They say every village has two names whispered in the dark, one spoken with admiration, the other with warning. In the village of Yasola, if you asked who the most beautiful woman was, fingers would gently point toward Fake, the daughter of the wealthiest cloth merchant. Fake was soft as early morning dew. She walked like a gazelle across golden grass, and when she spoke, her voice flowed like water over smooth river stones. Mothers wanted their daughters to be like her. Men dreamed of marrying her. But if you asked who the most troublesome woman was, the one whose name made traders hide their coins and mothers cover their children's ears, everyone would say one name without hesitation. Adoni. Adoni was not ugly. In fact, her face was striking. But her character was sharper than a cutlass and more sour than fermented palm wine. She was fire in human form. Fire that refused to be quenched. She was the daughter of Boba Sigu, a humble palm wine tapper. Yet she carried herself like a conquering warlord. One bright market morning, chaos broke loose. Mama Toby, you are a thief, a bold thief with no fear of God. Adoni's voice cracked through the marketplace like thunder. Buyers froze. Sellers stopped counting their coins. Mama Toby, a respected elder who sold peppers, adjusted her wrapper with trembling hands. Adoni, please lower your voice. I only added a little to the price. Fuel is expensive. Fuel. Adoni clapped dramatically. Does Pepper drink petrol? You are selling rotten peppers for the price of gold and blaming fuel. The crowd murmured. If you don't return my change, I will overturn this basket and let the goats feast today. A handsome young farmer stepped forward. Young woman, please. Adoni shoved him aside without even turning her head. You planted 3 yams and now you think you can speak when elders are talking? Go and wash your face. You smell of poverty and bad decisions. The crowd gasped. The young man retreated, humiliated. Adoni got her change, hissed loudly, and stormed away, kicking a stray chicken out of her path. That was Adoni. She quarreled with the wind when it blew her wrapper the wrong way. She stirred trouble where peace was resting. She had no friends, only victims. Her mother, Mama Song, spent her days apologizing from house to house. I don't know where she found this spirit, she would cry. Please forgive her. So when the town crier beat his gong 3 days later, announcing that the great king was ready to choose a new wife, the entire village rejoiced. The king had lost his queen 2 years ago. Since then, a shadow lived in the palace. His laughter had faded. His eyes were often distant. The council of chiefs urged him to remarry. You need peace, they told him. You need a soft woman. A gentle woman. Everyone looked at Fake. They looked at Bisai, the teacher. They looked at Sime, the priest's daughter. Nobody looked at Adoni. In fact, her own father prayed she would fall sick on the selection day so she would not disgrace the family. The palace courtyard filled with maidens from 7 villages. Beads glittered on their necks. Anklets chimed as they danced. They cooked. They answered questions about tradition and obedience. Fake was flawless. She knelt with elegance. She spoke of submission and unity. The crowd clapped in approval. Then came Adoni. She had been dragged there by her mother. She wore a simple Ankara dress. No extra beads. No painted smile. She looked unimpressed. One of the chiefs leaned forward. What would you do if the king made you angry? The expected answer was clear. Kneel, apologize, accept blame. But Adoni lifted her chin. Is the king God? She asked calmly. The courtyard fell silent. If he makes me angry, I will tell him the truth. A whisper spread through the crowd. Truth. No maiden had ever spoken like that. And for the first time in many months, something flickered in the king's eyes. Interest. If you enjoy powerful African folktales filled with drama, destiny, betrayal, and the kind of justice only God can write, subscribe to African Folktales for more unforgettable stories. If he is being foolish, I will tell him he is foolish, Adoni said boldly. A wife is a partner, not a piece of furniture. The courtyard fell into a silence so deep it felt heavy. Abomination! Chief Chifotu shouted. Take her away. Flog her for insolence. Wait. King Adomi's voice sliced through the noise like a sharpened blade. He rose slowly from his throne and descended the palace steps. First, he stopped before Fake, who smiled shyly, her lashes lowered in perfect humility. Then he moved to Adoni. She stood with her hands on her hips, chin raised, daring him to challenge her. The king searched her fiery eyes. You would tell your king he is foolish? Adoni did not flinch. If the crown fits, wear it. But if the head is empty, the crown will fall. Gasps burst from the crowd. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered prayers. This was treason. But then, the king smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in 2 long years. I have made my choice, he declared, turning to the stunned gathering. The new queen of Yosa is Adoni. The silence that followed was louder than thunder. Chief Balogu fainted. Adoni's father nearly collapsed. Even Adoni blinked in shock. Me? She asked. You, the king replied calmly. Prepare for the wedding. The village of Yosa erupted in gossip. She has charmed him. She used juju. She bathed in spiritual water. But the wedding happened. Adoni became Queen Adoni. And she did not change. On her first morning in the palace, the royal head cook, a heavy man who had served 3 kings, presented a lavish breakfast, pounded yam and rich egusi soup loaded with bush meat. Adoni entered the dining hall and sniffed. Who cooked this rubbish? The cook stiffened. My queen, this is the royal recipe. It has been served for 50 years. Adoni dipped her finger into the soup, tasted it, and spat it onto the expensive rug. It tastes like betrayal and too much salt. Are you trying to give the king hypertension? The servants froze. From today, she declared, nobody cooks for the king except me. Get out. She chased the royal cook from the kitchen with a wooden spoon. The king watched in silence. Later, he ate the meal she prepared. Simple, hot, perfectly spiced. That night, he slept deeply for the first time in months. A week later, Adoni caught the palace maids gossiping while cleaning. She grabbed a broom. Is this cleaning? You are moving dust from one corner to another like lazy tortoises. If I find one speck of dirt here, you will cut grass from here to the next village. They scattered in fear. Then she inspected the treasury accounts. Her sharp eyes caught something. She stormed into the king's court dragging the royal treasurer by his collar. Kabisi, she said, throwing the ledger at the king's feet. This man bought 1 bar of soap for 10,000 naira. Is the soap washing away sins? The court erupted in whispers. The evidence was clear. The treasurer was dismissed. The chiefs hated her. The servants feared her. But the king? He grew stronger. His cheeks filled out. His laughter returned. The palace felt alive again. Yet as the king's health improved, the hearts of certain chiefs darkened. Chief Oten and Chief Balogu could not sleep. Their secret streams of stolen wealth had dried up. Bribes had stopped. Corruption had no room to breathe under Queen Adoni's watchful eyes. We cannot continue like this, Chief Oten whispered one night in a hidden chamber behind the royal stables. That woman is not a queen, Balogu hissed. She is a curse. If she discovers the illegal land we sold in the Western District, we are finished. She will not discover anything, Oten replied coldly. From inside his flowing agbada, he produced a small clay vial. It looked harmless. What is that? Balogu asked nervously. Silent sleep, Oten smiled. It has no taste. No smell. It drives the victim mad first. They will tear their clothes, shout nonsense. Then the heart simply stops. Balogu swallowed. And how? The new Yam festival is in 2 days. The whole village will be watching. They needed someone innocent. Someone admired. Someone secretly wounded. They said her name together. Fake. Her heart had long believed the crown was hers. When Chief Oten approached her with lies, claiming the gods were angry with Adoni, claiming the king was secretly suffering, Fake agreed. They told her it was a truth potion. They said it would only expose Adoni's sins. Ambition can make even a dove fly with hawks. The day of the new yam festival arrived. Drums thundered. Colors flooded the palace courtyard. Roasted yam and palm wine scented the air. King Adoni sat majestically on his throne. Beside him sat Queen Adoni, dressed in deep purple lace, her headgear tied high. She did not wave. She did not smile. She sat like judgment itself. The villagers whispered. Even on a feast day, she looks stern. Fake should have been queen. As the celebration peaked, Chief Oten gave a nearly invisible nod. Fake stepped forward from the dancers. She carried a golden goblet filled with palm wine and death. The drums softened. Fake approached gracefully and knelt. "Kabisi, tiger of Yasola," she said sweetly. "And to our queen. We bring this drink as a sign of loyalty and peace." The crowd murmured approval. Adoni studied her. Studied the goblet. Studied the chiefs smiling too widely. She rose slowly. The crowd expected her to drink. Instead, she slapped the goblet from Fake's hand. The wine splashed across Fake's lace. "Are you mad?" Adoni thundered. "You who never greet me suddenly bring wine? You think I cannot smell hypocrisy?" Gasps filled the courtyard. "She is wicked," someone cried. Fake was being kind. The king stood, anger flashing in his eyes. "Adoni, enough. You have disgraced her." "She is not a guest," Adoni snapped. "She is a snake. And I do not drink from the cups of snakes." "Apologize," the king commanded. "Your behavior shames me." For the first time, tears filled Adoni's eyes. But she did not bow. "I will not apologize for refusing to die, Kabisi," she said steadily. "If you want a polite corpse, marry one from the cemetery." And with that, Queen Adoni turned and walked out of the festival, leaving the palace trembling behind her. If you enjoy powerful African folktales filled with drama, betrayal, destiny, and the kind of justice only God can write, subscribe to African Folktales for more unforgettable stories. The king sat back down, rubbing his temples. Across the hall, the chiefs exchanged quiet glances. Their plan had failed, but not completely. They had planted doubt. They had driven a crack between husband and wife. Night swallowed the palace. Sleep did not come. The festival ended in whispers and uneasy silence. Servants cleaned spilled wine and scattered food from the courtyard. A young palace guard, gazing absent-mindedly at the moon, noticed movement near the high table. A stray village dog had wandered in. It found the dark stain where the goblet had shattered. The dog began to lap up the wine greedily. The guard opened his mouth to chase it away. He never got the chance. The dog froze. A sharp, piercing shriek tore from its throat. It began spinning wildly, snapping at invisible enemies. It bit into a wooden chair, gnawing until its gums bled. Foam gathered at its mouth. Its eyes rolled white. Then, one violent convulsion. Silence. The dog fell stiff and lifeless. The guard's blood turned to ice. He stared at the corpse, then at the wine stain, then toward the palace chambers. He ran. "Kabisi! Kabisi!" The king opened his private door, still dressed in royal robes, his face tired and troubled. "What is it?" "The wine, my king," the guard panted, falling to his knees. "The queen's wine. A dog drank it. It went mad and died." The king did not speak. He walked slowly to the window and stared at the moon. If Adoni had been polite, if she had chosen grace over suspicion, if she had bowed to public pressure, she would be dead. Or worse, driven mad before the entire kingdom. Her bad character had saved her life. He went to her chambers. Adoni was packing. "I am going back to my father's house," she said without looking at him. "I fight your servants. I fight your chiefs. Then you shout at me in public. I am tired. Adoni. Don't Adoni me," she snapped. "Go and marry Fake. Let her kill you with kindness." The king laughed softly. He took the bag from her hands. "Sit down, my wife. I have something to tell you." She crossed her arms but sat. 3 years ago," the king began, "my father did not die of old age. He was poisoned slowly. By men who bowed to him every morning. By chiefs who called him Great Tiger, while mixing venom into his tea." Adoni's eyes widened. "They were doing the same to me," he continued. "I felt my strength fading. But the palace is built on protocol. If I refuse a gift, I insult a clan. If I accuse a chief without proof, I start a war." He looked at her carefully. "I was trapped in a cage of politeness." He took her hand. "I went to the oracle. The oracle told me, you are surrounded by smiling killers. Only a woman who fears no man, who seeks no favor, who does not care about being liked, can save you." Adoni stared at him. "When I saw you at the market shouting at that woman for cheating you, I did not see a troublemaker. I saw truth without fear." She blinked. "So you were that farmer?" she asked slowly. He smiled. "Yes. I did not marry you for peace," he whispered. "I married you for war. And tonight, you fought a battle I did not even see." He told her about the dog. Adoni stood slowly. The fire in her eyes returned, colder now, sharper. "So," she said calmly, "Chief Oten and Fake tried to kill me." "Yes." She adjusted her wrapper. "Kabisi," she said firmly, "sit down. I am not going anywhere." The next morning, the king summoned the entire village. Chief Oten, Chief Balogu, Fake. They stood proudly at the front, expecting victory. King Adomi sat tall upon his throne. Beside him sat Queen Adoni, silent and steady. "People of Yasola," the king began, his voice strong. "Yesterday, a great crime was committed." Fake stepped forward nervously. "Kabisi," the queen disgraced. "Silence," the king roared. The walls trembled. "Bring the evidence." Guards carried in the dead dog. Gasps filled the courtyard. "This dog drank from the goblet offered to my queen," the king said slowly. "Fake, would you like to take a sip from that same wine? We saved it for you." Fake's legs collapsed beneath her. "Kabisi, I." "Drink it," Adoni said sharply. "If your heart is clean, the wine will be sweet." Fake burst into tears. "It was Chief Oten," she cried. "He forced me. He threatened my father's shop. He gave me the poison." The crowd exploded in outrage. Chief Oten tried to flee. Guards seized him. Chief Balogu attempted to disappear into the crowd. "Hold that one too," Adoni commanded calmly. "He is the one who hired the corrupt treasurer. I saw them whispering behind the stables." The web unraveled. Years of corruption. Smiling betrayals. Silent theft. All exposed. And who exposed them? Not the gentle. Not the polite. Not the agreeable. Adoni. The woman who refused to bow to lies. Chief Oten and his conspirators were banished forever. Fake was sentenced to 5 years in the royal farms to learn humility and labor. Yasola changed. Adoni did not become softer. She still scolded dishonest traders. Still walked heavily. Still spoke bluntly. But the people no longer called her a terror. They called her the Iron Lily. They learned that kindness without truth is deception. They learned that sometimes a bitter voice protects a sweet life. Years later, King Adami and Queen Adoni sat on the palace balcony watching their 2 children argue loudly over a game. "That boy is just like you," the king laughed. "Good," Adoni replied, sipping palm wine. The world has enough sheep. He will be a lion. The king looked at the woman the village once feared. And he thanked the heavens he had not married the nice girl. The nice girl would have buried him. The difficult woman had saved him. And that is the truth that shocked everyone. Sometimes the one who challenges you the most is the only one who loves you enough to protect you from smiling enemies. If you love powerful stories of destiny, betrayal, courage, and the kind of justice only God can write, subscribe to African Folktales for more unforgettable tales.